a really cool kind of idea here is that you could have one voice command or one typed command in natural language that then goes out and calls multiple different kinds of systems in
Hmm.
the enterprise, integrates those results together from different systems. And whether that's something like a SQL table join, or whether it's conceptual, or whether it's creating a data visualization from multiple different sources blended together, or whether it's using information from one API call to realize that actually you're going to need to make some other API calls. All of these kinds of things become possible with LLMs, and it's very exciting.
It is an exciting time. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to even speed up our work process much faster because instead of switching from one application to another, it's all in one and it's making all the calls on the back end for us that we don't need to worry about. And so I think it's also just going to speed up our work time and make us each much more productive as well.
Nice. All right, what's next up the tech stack, Sadie?
All right, so now we get into the end users, right? We've consolidated the tools and this one I'm calling workforce upheaval. And the reason for this is I was speaking with one of our mutual friends, Hapreet, who we were just even questioning what it means to be a data scientist even more.
Harpreet
Particular,
Sahota.
yes,
He was on the super. Sorry, I'm interrupting you completely, but I'm just gonna blurt it out, and then I'll shut back up. He was most recently on our show in episode number 693. So, if people want to know more about Harpreet, anyway, continue. You guys were talking.
so we were just talking about like, where does a data scientist fit today, right? So when I got into data science over 10 years ago, it was really expected. The field was new. There was this idea of like a full stack data scientist, right? It was, you were supposed to be able to talk to business stakeholders. You needed to be able to clean and manipulate your data. You needed to understand it and build visualizations and storytell with it, and then build a predictive model and then deploy that model, right? You needed to do what is now split up into multiple job functions from data engineering to data product management to data analysts. And so, as we are talking about this to machine learning engineers, to ML ops engineers, right, the job has expanded quite drastically. So much so that I would call it as a data science job family. But I don't particularly know, and maybe you can help me with this, is where does the data scientist fit today, right? Is it somebody who is just doing A/B testing because more of the ML engineers are doing the model development and the ML ops are doing the deployment? Are they really just a glorified analyst? But I think this whole concept creates a broader conversation too, which is what I'm calling work upheaval, because we're all now working alongside these AI assistants. And just as we started this conversation talking about ChatGPT's data analysis tool, what happens when business users can just upload their own data set and start to talk to an AI assistant and get the answers that they need, right? Are they now data analysts? Does this mean there aren't a need for data analysts? I think there is a need and a place for everyone. And more importantly, from most of the reports that I read in terms of like job loss and job created, there's going to be more jobs created. I just don't think we have a clear vision of what that looks like. And I don't think roles anymore are going to be as siloed as they have been in the past, right? When we have AI assistants that are multimodal, we as individuals are going to be expected to also have multimodal roles. I'll quote unquote call it multimodal roles. I don't think that's a real thing yet. But what I'm trying to get at here is it's not going to be a siloed approach anymore. And I think this next year we're going to feel a lot of contention just societally, but also in the workplace of like what different roles mean, what should they be doing, and we will get it all figured out. I just think that this next year it's going to feel a little awkward, and that's because we are in the midst of a transformation, particularly in the way we work, what it means to work, and how we work.
Yeah, totally agree for sure. I think things like retraining programs, talking to your local elected politician and encouraging them to be investing in retraining programs, I think is critical. Organizations like yours, Women in Data, Sadie, are also great for allowing people to retrain in their job in an active or in a more passive way. Hopefully, podcasts like this and like yours as well allow people to continue to evolve with these tools because absolutely, if as we were talking about with the $20 a month, it's like if you're not doing that, you are being left behind by people who are, and in in roles that require more creativity and domain expertise, like data scientists and associated jobs, mm, you might be buffered a little bit, and it's a little bit more abstract. It's a little bit less obvious how these automation tools are impacting you. There's lots of other kinds of like the more that your role is something that could be encoded in model weights already today, the more that you need to be thinking about how you can be adding value as the human to the chain. And a GPT-4 conversation can figure out exactly for your conversation how you could be doing that, for your position how you could be doing that.
Yes.
So yeah, and so it's interesting. So something that I noted here is that what you're describing actually in your previous prediction for 2024, you were talking about tool consolidation facilitated by LLMs acting as a glue between different systems and as well as between humans and the systems. This is actually kind of the same thing, but it's the impact on the worker. So
Hmm.
so that same kind of consolidation, LLM acting as a glue, it is yes, it is allowing a business person who doesn't have any coding experience now to be doing sophisticated queries from doing data polls, doing their own data analysis, getting the suggested insights. The downside of all this, I think, Sadie, is that it's going to be we've all worked with them, these arrogant people who do a Google search that proves their point that is wrong, and they dig their heels in and are such a pain to work with. This is going to potentially make that worse because you'll have situations where they they are they feel like they have all this extra data and quantification and expertise that they can be pushing down people's throats when in
Oh
fact
yeah, we've all worked with that person, or the person who's also the loudest in the room, or really good at selling things, right? And you're
yeah,
like, I know that you don't do any work, but you also talk the most, and so everybody listens to you, kind of thing. But I think if they're using it, let's say you're an individual who does the deep analysis and truly questions things and makes sure that the data is accurate. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be using these tools. And that's the sad part that I see for a lot of individuals. Like if they are that individual who puts in the work, they put off using an AI assistant because they attribute it to that person who's talks about it all the time, doesn't do any work, right? And all I'm saying is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here, right? Which is like just because some people may use it poorly doesn't mean that you using it are going to be put in the same camp as them. You can still remain true to who you are and
absolutely,
keep your deep
absolutely,
analysis. So just use it
yeah.
and don't worry about the other person because somebody needs to take them on.